Oh, come on. Just because my son almost drowns, now you're not going to nominate me for Father of the Year? Please. It might have happened years ago, but I still remember it today with crystal clarity. We were at the pool enjoying a warm summer day. My son Jacob, who's on the severe end of the autism spectrum, was joyfully walking around the pool. He had a small plastic ball in his hand. He was playing with it. And I turned around to get some suntan lotion. And I only had my back turned for a couple of seconds. Just seconds, that was it. And then I heard it. Splash. It took me 3 giant steps to get to the edge of the pool, to dive in and grab my son by the shirt and pull him up out of the water. In a matter of 60 seconds, my son could have drowned because he didn't know how to swim. That day, I decided to become intentional about making sure he knew how to swim. After all, one day his life might depend on it. And you know what? It took a while for us to find someone who taught swim lessons to kids with special needs. It took extra effort to find the time to be able to drive them back and forth to swim lessons. And yes, it cost us sacrificially some finances in order to come up with the money that we needed in order to get him to learn how to swim. But you know what? It was worth it because Jacob learned how to swim. And so it is with the development of faith for your child with special needs. Without teaching him or her the foundations of your faith, you can't expect them to be able to swim through life safely. And as parents of kids with special needs, we can't just toss our kids into the deep end of the pool of life and expect them to be able to safely swim. And for that reason, you need to become just as intentional about teaching your child your faith as I was about teaching my son how to swim. If I'm going to be open and honest with you, then I would have to admit that I've done a poor job at developing my child's faith. I could give you some excuses. Life just feels often overwhelming, that parenting a child on the autism spectrum is tiring, that my son has severe intellectual disabilities, but I know that deep down in my heart of hearts that those are just excuses. You know, I eliminated any and all excuses in order to teach my son how to swim because I was concerned for his physical well-being. Then shouldn't I, as his dad, be willing to eliminate any and all excuses for his spiritual well-being? The answer, of course, is yes. You know, I love the reminder that I came across in the book of Deuteronomy. And it's in that passage that we learn that God expects parents to teach their children the tenets of their faith. And the interesting thing is back then when he shared that, it didn't matter whether the child was typically developing or not. God wanted parents with him to help in their child's spiritual development. And that hasn't changed today. He wants us today to be just as responsible as he told parents to be back then. I hope that you'll join me on this journey of becoming a more intentional parent about developing your child's faith. Listen, I don't have it all figured out. My sons have severe intellectual disabilities, and I have some ideas. I'm not really sure if they'll work or not, but I know this one thing. I need to be intentional in proceeding forward from this point on. And I can't think of a better month to do that than this month, where we celebrate the birth of our Lord Jesus Christ. And oh, by the way, remember, it's not what you know that creates change, it's what you do. So be a doer. My challenge to you is simply to do this. Find one way to become intentional about your child's faith development. And as usual, if you have any comments or questions, concerns, please leave them in the comment section below. And while you're at it, subscribe to my channel.